right, good morning. It's Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, and I am in the greenhouse, as you can see. And sometimes I have to look for places where I can kind of hide out, and I know no one's going to be. Yesterday, the video I made, 2 seconds after I finished it, somebody was busting through that door telling me lunch was ready. But the video I made yesterday, my wife captioned it, Rogue Food Conference Debrief. And I had told you that I was going to make several videos to share my thoughts about this. And for those of you that don't know, a debrief in military terms is sort of goes like this. You're asked to do something, you go do it, you come back and you tell the people who asked you to do it what worked, what didn't work, and how the mission went, how it was, if it was completed properly. Or something happens to you, you react, and then you report back in a debrief what your reaction was and what worked, what didn't work, and if it was a successful foray. All right, so this is a debrief, and I think we'll keep it in those terms because things need to be kept simple. And most of the military terms are kept very simple so everybody can understand them. So this is a debrief. This is what happened. And I made that video yesterday pretty quick because I was fired up. I had been talking with a buddy of mine in the morning. And I got kind of fired up and I wanted to communicate with you what I was thinking, what I took in from the Rogue Food Conference. Now, me going to the Road Food Conference is probably different from somebody who has not been through what my family has been through. All right, and I'm going to share that with you in another video, what my family went through. Just a small 80-acre family farm, bunch of kids, a dad and a mom, just farming, went through with the state of Michigan. I'm going to go through that, and a lot of you probably know. I'm not going to go through it today. I made that video yesterday and it got a lot of attention. And when you do this, when you exercise your right of free speech, the First Amendment, you know that you are going to get attention from good guys and bad guys. So I know it got a lot of attention. But I think there's another category of persons out there, people that are just coming into this and don't know and haven't been educated as to what is happening, all right? The Rogue Food Conference was put together by Joel Salatin and John Moody, and it was an attempt to share information with people who would like to be farmers but suffer from the anxiety that you have when you're doing this because of the stories that you hear coming out of the Department of Agriculture mostly. That's the umbrella group that creates most of the terror in people's lives. And so I went and presented at this conference, and I couldn't believe the passion that people have. I couldn't believe the fear that they have. And they're afraid, but they're not going to let it stop them. They're not going to say, well, that, paragliding, it scares me, so I'll just do something else. No, they're looking for solutions to that fear that they have, because fear is just, it's something. It is definitely something, but there are solutions to it. So the Rogue Food Conference is an effort to help can pass information that can quell the fear. All right. So I made that video yesterday, and I'm glad I did. Got a lot of attention, got a lot of views. You all did as I asked. You did pass it along, and I appreciate that. Another term that we use in military is force multiplier. Force multiplier. And that is if I want to, let's say, push something as an individual, I can only push it so far. But if I have 10 guys pushing it, I can push it a lot further. All right? force multiplier. Or if I have a tractor, I can push it even further. That would be a force multiplier. You know, I mean, you can apply it to anything. If I have a shovel, I can only dig so much. But if I have a backhoe, I can, you know, it's a force multiplier. Every time that you hit that share button to all of your people, there's a possibility that your people can hit the share button to their people. And it becomes uncontrollable. It becomes a wildfire. A wildfire of what? A wildfire of truth. A wildfire of truth that is about us and about us in the farming movement. Against who? Is there an enemy? Let's get into that. I'm going to start this by sharing a little story. When I was in the military, I had a young guy come work for me. I'd been in 15 years, so I was an old guy. He's probably 30 years old. Come to work for me. He had kind of a weird name. I'm not going to use it right now. But had kind of an accent, too. Told me where he's from. And I said, Moscow? Was that in Indiana? He says, no, Russia. I said, son, this is the U.S. military. What are you doing here? And he says, I defect. He had defected, gone through all the Air Force's training, nuclear surety and everything else. And here he was working for me. I had been in 15 years maybe, and this guy was brand new. Now, all my life, I'd been told that communism is bad. Bad. Communism is bad. But I had never really been told what it was. I couldn't have described it at that moment if I wanted to. And I would bet that a lot of you can't describe it either. And if I had to give you a description of it, it'd be tough to communicate so people can really get it. So I used to ask this guy, what's it like? What was it like where you were? Why did you want to come here? What was the draw? And when he would try to explain it to me, it still was disconnected a little bit. So he would tell me, okay, well, I'll give you an example. If I want to go on vacation and I want to go 60 miles from my home, I have to apply for a travel permit. And the travel permit has to be for certain days because you're going to hit a checkpoint. You have to have a permit. And who issues the permit? The township. I don't remember exactly what the name was, but it was the township. It was the township that he lived in. And there was a guy that was the supervisor, and he had a board of people that worked for him, and they would decide if you could go or not, based on whatever. Is he a good guy? Does he work hard? Is he a party member? Right? But he wants to go on vacation with his brother. His brother applies for a permit. And they say, we'll give you a permit, but we can't give you the same days as your brother wants to go. So all of a sudden, they can both go on vacation, but on different weeks. And so they say, the hell with it. Let's just stay home and drink vodka. And so that's what they do. When you think that through, and that happens a lot, you don't have to deal with that. If you want to go on vacation, you have to work it out with your employer, or you just go. You can quit your job and go, whatever. Another thing was, he says here, this guy, Philip, he says here, I can get in my car and I can drive wherever I want to go. So long as I can put fuel in the tank and I have insurance and all that stuff, I can go wherever I want to go. In Russia, you can't do that. You have to have a purpose to go there. You can't go there because you're listening to the radio and you feel like going down this road and seeing what's down there. You can't go there. So you really don't see very much of your own country. You're compartmentalized. In this country, I get in my car, I can go wherever I want, so long as I have the fuel, to go, and the time, right? So those two things spoke to me. And then he said, let me give you another example, because he had been to my home when I was in the Air Force. We used to bring the young guys to our place at Thanksgiving and stuff like that, because they couldn't be home. Obviously, he couldn't be home. He had defected, left everything behind, his parents and everything, in Moscow. He says, okay, I'll give you an example. In my town, if I want to have a garden, I have to apply to have a garden with the township. And the township will request a detailed report of what I'm going to grow and what I'm going to do with it. Food. And then once you've applied for it, if they grant it to you, you can bet that they're going to follow up and they're going to see, okay, you said you're going to put in 8 rows. You've got 9 rows here, comrade. Take that row out, or to the gulag for you. That's communism. That's communism. Has anybody seen anything like that in this country? I haven't seen it here where I am, but I know people that are going to see this have. Hidden Creek Farm, for instance, they've seen stuff like that. I got a friend down a little further down state of Michigan. He gets a routine letter in the mail saying that the township is going to be doing routine home inspections. They're going to be looking at safety issues within your home. And then if they give you a demerit, you have to have it fixed. And oh, by the way, you got to use somebody that's licensed through them to do it. That, my friends, is communism right there. That is communism. And I want to set what I'm going to tell you up with giving you an understanding of what communism is. In the United States, we don't have that. We have private property. If I want to grow a garden, that's up to me. I mean, I can't grow things that are illegal, that there is a law against. Law being, there was a bill, an idea, which went through the House of Representatives, and then went through the Senate, and then signed into law by the governor. There's no laws against gardening, all right? In the United States. I don't think you can grow certain things like marijuana and stuff. I don't know, maybe you can now. I don't really keep up on that. I'm not really sure. But that is what communism is. And that is carried out by individuals, all right? And usually it has to do with a set of rules that they have, all right? In a communist country, like the Soviet Union at that time, if you did plant a garden and you put in 10 rows instead of the 6 rows that you said you were going to do, they had the ability, or have the ability, to project their force against you. They have the ability to arrest you for that, because the township is the government, and they do have the authority to take things away from you, to punish you for that. It's not like that in this country. Our township is there for something completely different, all right? Some townships have gone a little bit overboard. They say, we want this because this board says we want this. And they have gone a little bit overboard. In the case of Dalton Township down here in Michigan with the Hidden Creek Farm, they went a lot overboard. It was pathetic what they did. But it was a group of individuals at the township level, headed up by a guy that just had a power trip, and he was just going to do it his way and make it work without any restraint and any respect for the constitutional rights of the home owner or the farm owner. And he got pretty far into it. The township got pretty far into it in scaring these people and really hurting their operation. But in the end, the Constitution prevailed. But like I said at the conference, we all have constitutional rights, but it's like a broad sword that sits there in a scabbard. You got to pull that baby, all right, and swing it too. If you don't, it's like an automobile that is not running and nobody behind the wheel. It's not going to do anything, all right. So, in small farms, in food production, a lot of the things that we talked about this weekend with these agencies, really headed up by the Department of Agriculture, whether it's the United States Department of Agriculture or the state level, Michigan Department of Ag, Alabama Department of Ag, they're all bureaucracies that have gone way too far. They're way out of their lane, way out of their lane. So, how do we put them back in their lane? This is it right here. First Amendment I have. I can tell you that they're the enemy. I can tell you that they're parasitic in nature, and they can't do anything about it. They may call me on the phone and call me a jerk, okay, but they have no ability to project their force. Somebody had a unfriendly face there. They have no ability to project their force to have me picked up as a dissident and sent to a re-education camp. They don't have that ability. Now, they try to make you think they do, because the times that they've come here, oh, and there's been many, usually they come with a couple of blue cars with men in uniforms and guns. And you would think that the state police and the Department of Ag are on the same page. But I don't think they really are, honestly. And I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Because when they would come, I would always talk to the state police and say, do you know why you're here? Right? Do you have any idea why you're here? And the standard answer was, oh, we just want to make sure everybody stays safe. I said, okay, well, I didn't invite you, so I don't feel unsafe by these, fat women with white coats and hairnets. They don't make me feel unsafe. They make me feel kind of grossed out, but you're not the gross police, are you? You're just the safety police. So I didn't really buy that response. I know that they were detailed to come to present the appearance that if I don't do what these weenies from the Department of Ag tell me to do, that somehow they're going to pull those Glocks and shoot me. They're not going to. Okay, so I know I've given you a lot there, and I want to keep this short, but I'm going to end with I've broached the subject of communism, all right, and communist tactics, all right. What is their number one thing that they use? I'm going to tell you. It's a rhetorical question you'll probably already know. It's fear. They use fear to intimidate people. Well, state policemen are supposed to scare me, right? Because when you get pulled over, you're scared, right? Well, I don't see it that way. And I don't think that's why they join. I have a son that was going to be a state policeman. I was almost a cop myself. I wound up being military. I'm not there to scare you. I'm there to protect you, all right? And so that's how I see them. I see them as my protectors. And when I treat them that way, things have gone pretty smooth. I've never been abused by the state police. I've been abused by the Department of Agriculture. I've been abused by the Department of Natural Resources very badly. But we're not talking about them right now. They were only brought into the whole thing because they are armed, and we are scared of them. We are supposed to be scared of them. So this thing, this fear thing, if you're listening to this and this strikes a chord with you, it means you're wanting to come along on this journey. I would like you to start thinking about your fear. You want to grow spinach, and you want to sell it to your neighbor, but you're afraid. You want to milk a cow and share that with your friends, or sell it. You want to turn your work, milking a cow, you want to turn that, and your expertise, you want to turn that into dollars that you can feed your family with. But you're afraid. Department of Agriculture, I don't want to get in trouble. Let's start thinking about that fear. And let's just identify it. Let's embrace it for a while. Let's get the feel of that fear. I got people listening to me right now that I know have been shot at with AK-47s in Afghanistan. I know them. But yet they're afraid of a fat lady in a white coat with a hairnet. Right? Let's think about that. Let's think about that. I get it if you're afraid of a Taliban soldier with an AK. I get that. Right? I get that. I would be too, because your life could end. There's nothing of the sort going to happen here. Not even close. These people have no arresting powers of their own. They have to bring in state police, or they would have to convince your sheriff that he's milking a cow and he's selling it to his friends. Arrest him. Ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. And if it does, let's say it does, let's say you got some crazy sheriff, videotape it. We'd love to watch that. That'd be fun. That's what the Rogue Food Conference is. Maybe you'd get center stage. You can come up and tell your story. It would be great. No, it's time. We are talking about a basic right that we have. A basic right to produce our own food, share it with who we want. The framers of the Constitution never even thought, you're kidding me, they're not going to, yeah, they're probably going to try and limit rainwater collection next, right? Yeah, they are. And I can tell you another thing, they want you disarmed. If I disarm you and I deprive you of food for 48 hours, I can make you do whatever I want. And you don't think they're doing that. You need to wake up. That's what this is. Now we can call our our leaders and say, Mark, hey, don't do this to us. Or we can organize, right? And organize. All you have to do is create food. And this is what we've been saying. Anyone can farm. Create food. Create your own calories. And stay armed. I would always say, always stay armed. I mean, I'm in the farming business and I was in the military before. I am never going to be disarmed. I will be dead if I'm disarmed. Or they're going to have to catch me out in the open. But I would say, create your own food. Prepare to not do what these weenies want to tell you to do. And be self-sufficient. Now, the next time I want to talk about their authority. I want to talk about their authority and where they get it from. And I'm talking Department of Agriculture. There's several other, we got health departments, we got townships, we got lots of people that like to try and tell you what to do. But I want to talk about next time where they get their authority. Okay? Because they do have some. But where do they get it from? Okay? It's Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Remember, anyone can farm. And tonight, if I don't get back to remind you, 8 o'clock, YouTube, Eastern Standard Time, is our call-in, open discussion, and please join us. It's a lot of fun. We talk about other stuff besides this. This is an anomaly here. We're going to talk about farming and just plain old living.